Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Mind Your Biz IE, and I got a request to talk about the SKILLBRIDGE process for when I retired from the Air Force back in 2023. So I'm gonna go through that. I took some notes. I wrote this like 2 months ago, so I'm gonna be looking down. Even when I didn't write it 2 months, I'm gonna be looking down anyways. But anyways, I'm gonna detail you the SKILLBRIDGE process, what I did exactly, pretty much verbatim to get approved to do SKILLBRIDGE. Okay, number one, you need to sign up for the SKILLBRIDGE briefing. It's between 2 and 4 hours, and it's at your local education center. Okay, even if let's say you're stationed at a GSU, geographically separated unit, you can find your closest ed center to you, obviously get some, permissive TDY funds or whatever from the commander, and then drive down there, okay? Because there were some Army people in mines when I was going through the SKILLBRIDGE process. So I signed up for the SKILLBRIDGE brief at the ed center, and then you go through that briefing. The ed center person, I don't know who it is, after you get the briefing done, he or she will open up SKILLBRIDGE in your AFVEC, right? So Air Force Virtual Education Center. I don't know what it would be for the Army. Yeah, okay, but this Air Force situation, but it's probably still the same thing-ish, maybe. But anyways, so once you get that brief done, you are finally able to put in your SKILLBRIDGE application on AFVEC. So secondly, I'm gonna go through the whole process to apply for SKILLBRIDGE. Now, I'm gonna hope that it makes sense because there's gonna be some things out of order, but hopefully it makes sense. Let me get some water too. All right, so to apply for SKILLBRIDGE, number one, you should find the company that you want to do SKILLBRIDGE through. So on the AFVEC, you can actually search for companies that have, I guess, genres of what you're into, whether it's social media marketing, digital marketing, construction, realty, medical. You can just type in those keywords and it'll pull up companies that you are eligible to apply for, right? And it also will pull it up by state. You just scroll and you find for whatever state you want to do SKILLBRIDGE in, or if it is basically a virtual one, right? I did a virtual SKILLBRIDGE. I did it from the comfort of my home. I did mine for 2 months. SKILLBRIDGE is up to 6 months, but I only needed 2 months to be honest. So yeah, find your SKILLBRIDGE company. Then you need to apply to that company, right? And even if you don't do it on the AFVEC, you can just type in DOD SKILLBRIDGE companies on Google and it will be a slew of companies. And there's companies out there that you wouldn't even have thought of that are looking for veterans, or not veterans, but active duty members who are about to become veterans to get a part of their program, okay? You just have to apply. But a lot of these programs that you are applying for, they want to see your resume. So let's back up before you apply for SKILLBRIDGE. You need to have your resume written, okay? So what I did is obviously, most of us went through our EPRs or EPBs, and that gives you your highlight of your year, basically, your annual report. So you want to put in your highlights for each duty location or for a plethora of years. Depends on how you did it. I did mine from 2002 to 2023, right? And I just pretty much broke up my main big positions of leadership that I held. And then I just put the years, basically Air Force, locations, various locations in the Air Force, okay? And then that was it, because that's like my only job I ever had, right? And it made it pretty easy for me to do because you pretty much pick the best bullets out of your EPR or EPB and you expound on that too. But what I did is I had a mentor, a guy that it was in the retirement process already ahead of me. Like he was about to retire when I was already thinking about retirement. So I had him go over my EPR, and he redlined it and did all his thing, and it really helped me shorten my not EPR, but my resume. Helped me shorten my resume because ideally you want it to be 1 page. Nobody wants to sit and read something for 2 pages. And the thing is, if you was that bitch or you was the head boss, you're gonna have a lot of information, but you need to just shorten it to 1 page because really, it doesn't matter, okay? They want to see that you have leadership. They want to see that you were, I don't know, a SME, subject matter expert in your career or career field or whatever, whether you was in the Air Force or military for 4 years or 24 years. Like, they just want to see what you did. So, like I said, you're going to have to write that resume and have it ready and just finally polished before you apply for your SkillBridge program at that company. But like I said, this video is kind of going to be back and forth, but either way, if you're ready to retire, ready to ETS, write your resume. I would say actually do it immediately when you know for sure you're going to get out the military, get out the Air Force. Okay. Let's see. Next, you need to figure out your SkillBridge timeline. So like I said, I did SkillBridge for 2 months. The max days you can do SkillBridge for is 180 days. What they don't tell you, or what you do not know until you get into this process, your SkillBridge or your last 6 months on active duty or whatever is going to include, if you haven't done it already, the TAPS days that you're going to have to take TAPS. TAPS can be just that regular 5-day week, or you can do that plus other days of like resume writing or DOD Environmental Workplace Center. This is a whole bunch of other days that are part of the TAPS program that you can add on to doing TAPS, but TAPS is what you need to do. So in your 180 days or less, you got to have your TAPS done within that time period. Also, you cannot do SkillBridge until you complete TAPS, okay? So you got to factor all this stuff in. So 180 days, you need to have your TAPS done, okay? Also, you need to get approved for TAPS too, okay? So TAPS is going to be done at your Military Family Readiness Center, and you have to apply for TAPS. And if your education center is like anyone else's education center in the whole entire Air Force, it's going to be backed up, and those dates are already going to be filled. So technically, you should start the TAPS process before you start the SkillBridge process of applying to companies. For me, I had taken TAPS a long time ago. I would say maybe 2 years prior to me actually retiring, but I took TAPS on an Army installation. So it did not show up on my Air Force records. So it looked like I had never taken TAPS. So I had to take TAPS again. And it was okay because I needed to really get a refresher of the information that I learned before. And it was a different perspective compared to a retired Army civilian telling you things compared to Air Force people, retired people telling you things too. So it worked out for my good. Like I said, 180 days of SkillBridge. Your timeline has to include your TAPS days. Your timeline has to include your permissive TDY days, your leave days that you will not and cannot sell back to the Air Force, right? So you need to be a genie and calculate all these days. What I will tell you is your permissive TDY days or your leave days or whatever days, you will get that number from finance. So you will walk into the finance office and ask, how many days of leave do I have left from today's date, whatever date it is, to the point is of my ETS date, right? So they will tell you, and you have to calculate that into your 180 days. So let's back up. Before you are calculating these dates, you got to have an approval to retire or an approval to ETS. So actually orders in order for finance to give you these numbers, these days, right? So hopefully it's not confusing, but there's a lot of steps you have to get done before you even get to the point of applying for SkillBridge. So anyways, like I said, you got to get your TAPS done. You got to get approved. In order to get approved, you have to fill out paperwork as well, as in like, this is what I'm going to do when I get out the military. This is where I'm going to relocate to. This is how much money I have saved up. Like, you can just write generic numbers, but you have to meet with a TAPS counselor and go over all the information you wrote. And then he or she will approve and sign you up for the dates that you want to be assigned up for in TAPS. What else is there? Oh, also within your 180 days, you need to include your out processing days, compare and add that to your final out date. So for me, I was weather, right? And obviously weather has a schedule, right? Like a duty schedule, because weather is 24 hours. So is a duty location, depending on where you are. So even though I was not on 24-hour duty or a shift worker, I was one of the leaders. So my schedule had to be blocked off for when I was out processing. What is my final out day? What are my TAPS dates? What are my SkillBridge dates? Okay. So once you figure out those dates, and once you figure out the dates that you actually want to do SkillBridge, you have to go back to the company or already have this already done and say, I would like to do SkillBridge for this specific program, and I want to apply for these exact dates, right? So I would say you need to do this SkillBridge application with the company months and months in advance, right? So for me, it was really easy. I already knew what company I wanted to do. I did research and I did get insight from other retirees or people who were already went through SkillBridge. But I found a company that I wanted that had to deal with digital marketing, social media. That was specifically what I knew I wanted to be doing outside of the Air Force, right? And it worked out for me. And I got approved within a week, but normally they say give us about a month, because some companies are like, say Google, they are overwhelmed with applications, and you can submit your resume and maybe not even hear from them. Like I submitted my resume to somewhere else. I never even heard back. And I know I got a bomb resume, so don't even try to come for me. But anyways, I never even heard back, because this other company, I feel like it was like something to do with jobs, like jobs in the title. It was one of the higher companies that most future veterans are going to apply for, right? Because it's a max. You can go all the way, you can max all the way out to 180 days. I didn't need 180 days because when I submitted my retirement application, I had less than a year and left in the Air Force. So I knew I needed to get X amount of days for my TAPS, for my out processing, my final out date, my permissive TDY, and my SkillBridge thing. All right, so let's go back to, you have already applied for your SkillBridge company. Let's say, and then you finally got approved because you already gave them the dates that you are trying to do SkillBridge for. They will give you a signature letter, like the last page of that application, like the approval that you have signed and that company person who's in charge of the SkillBridge program has signed. You now have to put this into your SkillBridge application with the Ed Center. So still, you may have been approved by the company, but now you got to apply for SkillBridge through the AFEC, Air Force. People got to approve you. So it's a long, drawn out process. So I'm gonna go through the steps of this approval. Okay, so you put in your dates, who you are, your rank, your dates for retirement, your dates for SkillBridge, what unit you're a part of, and then you need to put in your supervisor and your commander. So once you put that in, plus that approval page, you sign it, and then it goes to your supervisor. Your supervisor signs it, and then it goes to your commander, okay? So my commander at the time was a general, so it went to my section commander, who was a captain. So I want to let you know this, based on where you're stationed at, you might have to even get approval to even be able to apply for SkillBridge in your actual section or unit. So even though I already got approved by the company, I did not know I needed to get approval from my commander saying that I can even apply for SkillBridge, because it's not a guarantee that you will get approved for SkillBridge. And I was in a mission essential type of position, but I feel like I was favored. So I felt like it was going to happen for me regardless. Everything happens for my good anyways, because I believe in the Lord. Okay, let that be known. But what I'm saying is I had to meet with my section commander before I even applied for SkillBridge, to take the SkillBridge brief with the Ed Center, to even apply for SkillBridge on AFEC. Okay, so what it was kind of like, hey, when do you want to do SkillBridge? What are you interested in? Why do you want to do it? Do you know you're taking your talent away from your unit, your section, because you want to take time off? Yes, that's why I'm asking for it. And I didn't even know that had to happen, but sometimes you got to ask your CSS and CCEA, ask people like, what do I need to do to apply for SkillBridge 2, like within the unit? So my section commander approved me, and I think it was like a little letter that I had, or a memo, MFR, right? So I had that from him, and I let my director know, hey, I'm applying for SkillBridge. Our section commander, who is the person in lieu of your actual commander, has approved it. So boom. So this is my days of what I want to do. And now you go apply for your company. But me, I already had my company already picked out because I'm a planner. I had it planned out. So, okay. So then, like I said, back to the AFVEC SkillBridge application. So now it's to your section commander / commander. Then they approve it. Then it goes back to the Ed Center, and then they approve you finally for SkillBridge. Once that's approved, you can forward that to your unit and say, hey, I got SkillBridge for a month, up to 6 months, or whatever days you got it. And then you are finally approved for SkillBridge. It's a lot of rigmarole, but you don't want to miss out on anything. You want to do it to a T. You want to keep all your paperwork. You want to have like a little folder in, I don't know, your personal folder just for the SkillBridge process. Because like I said, there was many steps I had to take before I even got to even be approved by the Air Force, right? But I already knew what I wanted, and I went after it. As you should too, if you're specifically want to do SkillBridge. Okay, let me see if I have any other notes. No. Oh, yeah. Lastly. So mind you, okay, I got approved for SkillBridge. Put it on the schedule. Let them people know. I'm out of here, Shawty, right? So during this time that I'm actually in my virtual SkillBridge from my home, I was doing my VA C&P exams, okay? So what I had to do is let the people know that, let's say I had an exam that was an hour away, then that examination took 2 hours, and then I had to drive another hour back. I'm not going to be able to log in for my SkillBridge of the day. So what you need to do, because you're already going to have your appointment scheduled with through the VA or VES or OPI or whoever those people are, you're going to let them know, hey, I got a VA C&P exam and I can't make it today. And you may have multiple of those VA C&P exams to take during this SkillBridge time. But the SkillBridge people are so used to people having to do that, they'll just say, good luck, I wish you the best of luck, we'll see you tomorrow. So just know you're going to be somewhat busy during your SkillBridge time because, one, if you have a family or don't, you're also planning your TMO, household goods. You're planning on maybe pinning down a place to live. You're planning on just your whole future life, right? So SkillBridge is a spectacular time to use to focus on yourself, focus on your new craft or new information that you want to learn, and focus on getting your behind situated for your life after the Air Force. Now, I also will tell you, there's people who get approved for SkillBridge and they do it because it's that time off from work that you can actually focus on yourself. And a lot of commanders know that people take the SkillBridge time, they lollygag through it, and they're just out of the work center. So your work center is losing a body for up to 6 months. So that's the reason why your commander, he or she, don't got to approve you, because they know you're going to be gone, right? But like I said, I got the favor from the Lord. So there's that. And I actually did my time wisely. I did not skip out on my digital marketing, social media. Like I did that Monday through Friday, with the exception of the days I was doing my C&P exams. What else is there? Oh yeah, so there's people that I did know who retired, who did SkillBridge, and let's say they went through Google and they did the whole 6 months of SkillBridge, and they did not end up working for Google, or they did not end up working for the company. They just took the SkillBridge because they wanted to know or go through the program of maybe I can go into this direction. I need to see what I like because I don't know what I want to do at the Air Force. There's so many people that, officers that even say that, like they don't know what they want to do, okay? So just take this time, a SkillBridge, to decompress. Like for me, I didn't really decompress until I was on terminal leave or your permissive TDY leave, right? Where I was completely done with the Air Force. I had finaled out. I was living with my parents. I had time to just like breathe. I didn't have to wear the Air Force uniform anymore. I was just collecting a paycheck. I was on leave. You can't sell your leave dates back. So anyways, so I hope that this information was great. It gives you all the information you need to know about SkillBridge, the process of SkillBridge, what I had to do to go through it. Like I said, it's a lot of rigmarole. It's a lot of paperwork, but keep it all situated in a folder and you will succeed. So let me know if you have any questions and I'll see you later.